What's going on, everybody? My name is Jake, and here we are with another mix technique video. Today we're going to talk about parallel compression, what it is, when to use it, and how it's done. But before I get into it, I want to thank my subscribers for the support you've given me. Never really expected too much with this channel, but at the time of recording this, we're pretty much at 100 subscribers, so right on. This being said, I'm thinking about investing more into this channel, maybe getting a camera and adding a FaceTime camera to these videos. Regardless, the more support this channel gets, the more I can invest and the more time I can spend making videos for you guys. So I really just wanted to thank all of you. Let's keep growing this channel, and this is just the beginning. Anyways, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. So let's jump into parallel compression. All right, so what is parallel compression? This technique involves a send and a return bus, and what we are trying to do is have the clear uncompressed signals run in parallel to a heavily compressed bus, which essentially, this gives us the best of both worlds in that we have the clarity from the uncompressed signals and mixed in with the heavily compressed signal. That's essentially what we're trying to do with is bring out a specific element that we do not think comes out enough, or something that we already think is good, and we want to accentuate that. So when do we want to use this? So like I said, we're trying to bring out a specific element in the mix with the compression bus, kind of what we did with, I don't know if you watched the snare reverb video, but essentially what we did is we added a compressor to the snare reverb track so that we could bring out the sustain. That's kind of the idea what we want to do with parallel compression. Now there's a lot more uses for it, as in, you might want to make the transient come out more, or you might want to give the sustain more liveliness. There's a bunch of reasons for using parallel compression. The main thing that you want to keep in mind is you want to have a clear idea of what you're utilizing this compression track for, because it can help a lot, but it also can really squash the elements in your mix if used improperly. So it's really important to have an idea of what you want to do before you start. All right, so let's see what we need to do to set this up. Now the first thing we need to do is obviously add a auxiliary input. This is where our compression will be. I'm going to bring it over here. I'm going to call it parallel compression, or just PC actually. PC for short. Color it. Gonna add it to our solos here. Now we want to send all of our drum tracks over to our parallel compression bus, and essentially what I want to do here is I want to give our drums a bit more pop and a bit more liveliness. So that's what we're going to be aiming to do here with our parallel compression. So we just want to make sure that all of our tracks are being sent over. All of our drum elements are the yellow ones here. We want to make our return the same thing as our sends. And something also to keep in mind is we want to have all of our sends be pre-fader. So doing this will allow us to essentially solo out our parallel compression track and just hear the compressed signal. This will help us set our compression a bit more appropriately. All right, so now that we have everything set up here, let's take a listen to what our drums sound like without compression. So not too bad. I think it could definitely use a bit more liveliness and a bit more, we want it to be a bit more upfront, a bit more powerful. So that's what we're going to aim to do here with our parallel compression. So let's bring up our compressor here. I'm going to use an FGMU. So like I said, we kind of want to be aggressive with this because we are going to be blending it in, and it's not going to be the only thing that you're hearing. You still want to hear a decent amount of the uncompressed signal. So it is okay to kind of really crank up the settings here. So I'm going to start by moving up our input and our threshold. I'm actually going to solo our compression bus so we hear what we're doing. Alright, so that's a good start. Now, if you have seen my compression video, you'll know that the attack and the release controls really kind of sculpt how the compression sounds. So this is going to be very important in sculpting our parallel compression as well. Now, I think the first thing that I want to do is essentially make it seem as if the transients are coming out more. So we definitely don't want to be compressing the transients. So a slower attack time is going to be more appropriate for this instance. I'm going to start by bringing it down a little bit and kind of slowly bringing it back until I hear enough of that pop coming through where I think it's going to help build up the transient. So you can hear there, it is killing the transient. The transient comes through without it more. So we want to bring this back. You start to hear that transient come through again. Awesome. So right there, you can really kind of start to hear the transient come through, kind of have more push to it, which is what we want. We will be blending that in with the normal transient sound, and it will really help give it some body. Now, the next thing that we want to focus on is the release. Now, the release kind of, in my opinion, has to do with kind of the liveliness of the compressor settings. Essentially, we want to set the release time so that it coincides kind of with the rhythm, so that the compressor compresses and releases in kind of time with the rhythm of the song. And that's what kind of gives the drums more liveliness. So this is something that you really just got to listen for. I'm going to start with it probably around 5, and we're going to dial it back until it seems to fit nicely in the mix. Okay, so that's a pretty decent spot to start, and I'm just going to increase this a little bit, see what it sounds like. Bring it back. Awesome, so that's a pretty solid spot to start, and I'm liking how that sounds. So our next thing that we need to do is bring back in our drums. And now we're going to start to bring up the mix here of the parallel compression until it sits just right where we have a good balance between the compressed signal and the uncompressed signals. So let's see what we have without any of this in the mix. Slowly start to bring it in. You start to hear the kick get more body. The snare has a bit more liveliness. Essentially, that's how it's done, folks. So that's pretty much how I go about adding parallel compression. Now, it's like a very intense process, and it has there's a lot you can do with it. I think this process and this application really helps give the drums more pop, more liveliness. So hopefully you guys pick something up today. More mixing techniques coming soon. And until then, have a good one.